Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Stress Less, Accomplish More call. My name is Stephanie Matos. I'm a mindset coach here on the Brightly Thrive team. And today we are going to be talking about all things stress reduction, all things mindset. We'll kind of see where the call goes. Hopefully, we have some more people join us today that might have some questions. I have a couple ideas up my sleeve that we can do. However, I always like to make this call as interactive as possible. So if you are watching the replay, welcome. Thank you so much for watching the replay. If you're ever able to join me live, I host calls every Monday and Thursday, and then once a month, we have them in the evenings on a Wednesday. I would love to see you live. So selfishly, I would love it if you would please join me live if you're ever able to. And some of the folks that are on the call now have their cameras off and they're muted. So if you can join while you're working or taking a break or whatever it is, you can come late, you can leave early, just come as you are and come for the amount of time that you can come. So even if you can come for 5 or 10 minutes, I'd love for you to be here for 5 or 10 minutes. And the link, I believe you guys get emailed, so that link will be there. It'll show you the time zone, all of that good stuff, so you can join us live. And there is also you have the ability to ask me questions via a Google Doc, a Google Sheet that is located in a Slack channel. So you guys can actually anonymously leave me questions. You can ask me questions whenever you want in there. If the questions that the Google Doc is asking you don't match the question that you would like to ask, you can just type whatever you want in there and I'll read it and answer the question on the next call. All right, you guys. So thank you so much for joining me today. Thank you for being here with me. We usually celebrate wins. We don't have any wins in the chat yet, but if you guys can celebrate a win on your own, if you're watching the replay, that would be incredible. I think that I would like to actually, I hadn't planned on this, but I think it's important to talk about why I like to start with wins and really kind of tap people on the shoulder over and over again to type a win in the chat, even when they kind of usually don't want to do that. And the reason why, oh my gosh, Krista, she just typed in the chat, my son has recently started crawling. That's so sweet. See, that is an incredible win. That puts a smile on everybody's face. We all know how cute babies are when they first start crying. So Krista, thank you so much for celebrating that awesome win with us. So that's an example of something that we celebrate, right? And the reason why I like to start every single call like this is not because I want to push you guys out of your comfort zone or, I want to be annoying or whatever. Well, maybe I want to push you out of your comfort zone a little bit, but I certainly don't want to be annoying. The reason why I do this is because what the research shows is that our brain as a human species across the board is geared towards the negative. So we actually have 5 times more negativity receptors in our brain than we do positive receptors in our brain. So what that means is that negative, it's a lot easier to focus on everything that's going wrong instead of everything that's going well and right. And so when we practice popping wins in the chat a couple times a week, or even practicing gratitude, we did talk about gratitude a few calls ago. The replay for that should be on the YouTube channel. What happens is that we start to build the muscle in our brain. So our neurology is very much like a muscle. The more you pump it, the bigger, thicker, stronger it becomes. So the more we focus on gratitude, the more we focus on cute things like, her little one crawling, the more that we focus on, oh my goodness, it's a beautiful day. The sun is shining and the birds are chirping. Oh my goodness, it's a beautiful day. I'm happy that it's raining, right? Some people love the rain. What it does is that it's flexing that muscle. So we're better able to be focused on everything that's going well and right and good instead of everything that's going negative and wrong and bad. So as you guys know, this call is all about stressing less. And what the research shows is that people that have a more optimistic viewpoint rather than a pessimistic viewpoint have less stress in their lives. Now, I would like to cover this topic really quickly. Not only do optimistic thinkers have less stress, they have better health, less aches and pains, better biomarkers like cholesterol, blood pressure, etc. They have better friendships. They have more money in the bank. They have more success, and they have more luck. So as you can see, there's a lot more than just less stress that actually happens when we start to flex that positivity muscle more and more and more. And so That's number one. Now, I would like to just quickly discuss optimist versus pessimist really quickly. So an optimistic thinker is somebody who has practiced thinking positively so much that that becomes their set point. So rather than focusing all of the annoying things in life, because you guys, like, life is full of annoying things. I mean, even if you just drive to work, if there's somebody driving chaotically or there's a big traffic jam or whatever, I mean, just simply driving somewhere can cause chaos in your mind and in your body and annoyance, right? And that's just a small fraction of your day. There's a lot of other things that happen that are quite annoying, right? And so what we want to do is not allow ourselves to stay stuck in that negativity for so long that it becomes a big problem from a stress level. So optimists have the ability to acknowledge things when they're frustrating and acknowledge when things stink and acknowledge when, maybe they don't have control over a situation. However, they don't stay there as long as a pessimist would. So a pessimist is, they describe pessimists as glass half empty and an optimist as glass half full. Well, what we all know is that there's no difference in those two glasses. They are the exact same glasses, but it just depends on how you're viewing it. Whether you're like, yeah, I've got half a glass, or you're like, ugh, I only have half a glass, right? So it literally is just a change in the perspective that can really make such a difference. And in our company, Brightly Thrive, we really value health a lot. And one of the reasons why we value health so much is because it is such a beautiful life when you can live a healthy existence and a healthy life. And it's such a beautiful life when you can handle your stress and emotions better, or just, kind of understand how to eliminate them when they're not necessary. And stress is a killer, my friends. It is, and it's, so that's kind of a cliche term, I would say, that stress is a killer, but I don't know that people truly understand how detrimental to health stress is from a physiological perspective. And even when I say physiological, I mean, it can give you wrinkles. I mean, even the way you look changes. It can give you gray hair. It can make your hair fall out. It can make your hair brittle. It can make your skin dry. Like, it's kind of incredible. And that's just the stuff that shows. There's a whole cascade of events that happens inside of the body that we can't see. And so whether it is just simply wanting to be happier, which I think all of us would love to have a happier life. I think you guys can all agree. Actually, Krista, maybe you can let me know if you agree with that. I think we'd all like to have a happier life. This also could be something that's physiological, where it's like, whoa, maybe these headaches could be coming from the stress that I'm having, or just my negative thought process that I was born with. It's not your fault. If you might think slightly negative, it is actually ingrained. That's how our brains were formed, so that we were more safe in our environments. It's quite important for us to know when a lion or tiger or bear might be jumping out of a bush to bite us, right? Maybe not so much now that we live in 2024. Right now is what year we're in. And depending on where you live, this isn't really that big of a deal. Your brain doesn't know that, right? So what it does is it's searching for things that might hurt you or harm you, even though you're pretty much safe everywhere you are, right? The other thing that is important when it comes to, and you guys, if you have any questions for me, please let me know. I'm only talking about this because nobody's asked any questions. And it just dawned on me that perhaps I should explain why I asked for wins at the beginning of the call. However, I am more than happy to switch directions or answer any questions. This is by no means something that was planned that I have slides for. That's a presentation. It just happens to be what I'm talking about. So Krista, if you have anything that you'd like to ask, I'm happy to answer any of your questions. Or topics, doesn't necessarily have to be a question. It can also be a topic on the brain, on breath, on success, on stress, on happiness, on all kinds of things, psychology based. Thank you. Thank you, Krista. It's totally cool if you don't have a question as well. You can just listen, you can just listen to me talk, as long as you don't mind me talking. That is quite all right with me. Okay. So, but just know that if one pops up before the end of the call, you are more than welcome to cut me off and we can totally go down a different direction. So one of the other things that's really important about this, so optimist versus pessimist, right? So we already talked about all those things. And one of the things I said was health, they're healthier, right? Now, since we have a set point that is generally speaking geared towards the negative, right? For most people, there are a few outliers with this, but for most people, this is their set point. Building that resiliency muscle and building that muscle for the positive is so important. And when we talk about health, what's really interesting is that there's a spectrum with how much your mind comes into play when it comes to health, right? So with certain health issues, 100% of your health and healing can come from the mind. And I'll give you an example of what I mean by this. So I recently had a friend that the poor thing was having a panic attack, but he thought he was having a heart attack. And so he actually had his friend drive him to the emergency room, and they were like, your heart is actually fine. I know that you're having numbness, and I know that your, chest is in so much pain and all of this kind of stuff, and you can't breathe, but this is actually a panic attack you're having, right? So in that instance, 100% of his health and healing could come from the power of his mind, right? There's also placebo experiments where they give people the same pill, and they're both sugar pills, so fake pills. And they tell, and actually, I'll rewind really quick. There was a study done that was very interesting on optimists versus pessimists. And what they found, so what they did was they took two cohorts of people. They tested each cohort to see which ones were optimist versus pessimist. They then divvied them up into a cohort of optimists and a cohort of pessimists, okay? And from there, they told them both, we're giving you this pill, and you're going to know if you got the real pill or the fake pill, because if you get the real pill, you're going to throw up, you're going to sweat, you won't be able to sleep tonight, you're going to feel horrible, you're going to have a stomach ache, it's going to be not good. So if you don't feel that, you'll know you got the fake pill, right? Well, the truth was that there was no real pill. So what was so interesting is that the pessimists actually had a significant amount of symptoms. So some of them, all the way from some of them might have sweat more, right? Kind of like a lower level of symptom, or had like a light headache. And some people who were physically throwing up, right? From the power of their mind, because again, this wasn't a real pill. And then the optimists, no side effects, right? Because right? If you think about a pessimist, what are they going to think? Oh man, I'm so unlucky. I'm going to get that real pill, and I'm going to end up all not being able to sleep. I'm going to throw up. Oh no, it. Da, da, da. And just that thought alone makes them have all those symptoms. Okay. The optimist, right? What do they think? Oh, I'll probably be fine. I always have good luck. I'm probably going to get that other pill. It'll be all right. Or I hope I don't get that pill, but I most likely won't. And if I feel anything, then it'll be fine. Right. So because they didn't believe that they were going to get that pill, or believe that they were going to have really powerful response to the pill, they didn't. And because these people were afraid of it and thought that they were probably going to be unlucky and get the pill, they did. Right. That's yet another example of how 100% of health and healing can come from the power of the mind. Now, we can go all the way down to 10%, which that would be somebody who's got a diagnosed issue that is very real, that is not coming from here. It's actually coming physiologically. But even on those people, 10% of their health and healing can come from the power of the mind. Okay. So generally speaking, most people are somewhere in between 100% to 10%. So it could be 30% of your health and healing can come from the power of the mind, or 50% of your health and healing can come through the power of the mind, or 60%, 80%. And I would like to argue that whether it's 10% or 80% or even 100%, wouldn't it be cool to improve your health and wellness, and the way your skin texture is, and the way that you look, and the way that you carry yourself, and the choices that you make also, right? So whether you eat that cake or don't eat it, or drink that wine or don't drink it, or whatever it is, right? Or drink that sugary coffee drink or don't. A lot of these things are coming from the power of the mind, right? And the choices are directly connected to the power of your thoughts. So a pessimistic person might be, what's the point? I might as well just eat the cake and drink the sugary drink and da 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 da. What's the point? It doesn't matter anyway, right? Where an optimist is like, all of my choices really can make a big difference in my life. So I would like to make an optimistic, positive choice, right? So all of these things can really be a big indicating factor on whether we receive happiness, health, reductions in stress, even success, right? So I do a lot of work with people on success in business, in health, in wellness, all of these kind of things. And it's kind of incredible how the optimistic thinkers almost always, and I would say almost always because I'm sure there's an outlier, but if I could, I would say always, um, almost always have more success in any aspect of life or business than pessimists do. And simply because they have the tendency to stick with things longer and follow through and take the action steps necessary in order for them to see results, whether it's with weight loss or health or in business, finances, happiness, relationships, all of these things, right? Do you have any questions about anything that I've covered so far? And you can give me a thumbs up if you're good, or you can type a question in the chat, or even if you have something that you want to share, like maybe something that you've like, you know what, I've noticed that if I thought optimistically, things go better, and when I think pessimistically, they go worse. Anything like that, feel free to type it into the chat. So the final thing that I'll talk about, awesome, thank you, Krista. So the final thing that I'll talk about when it comes to celebrating wins and why I like to start the calls with wins is because there is a whole subset of psychology called positive psychology. It's actually a movement of psychology where about 30-ish years ago, some really smart scientists and psychologists came together and thought, wow, we are always treating people after they have the massive nervous breakdown or the, paralyzing anxiety or the crippling depression or whatever, right? What if we were to give them tools before they had all these problems that would help them to never have these problems, right? So rather than fixing the issue, they want to proactively help people before things become a huge issue. And they named it positive psychology, right? And so one of the things that they have in positive psychology, they have many different teachings and things that they've discovered over the years of their research, is that there are 5 pillars of well-being. And when they talk about well-being, really, and I can talk about these 5 pillars another day. I'm only going to talk about one pillar today. But when they talk about well-being, they don't mean in the body. Well, they mean not only health-wise, but also mental health-wise. So happiness, success, goal setting, follow through, being resilient, being optimistic, all of these kind of things. But on top of that, also high levels of health and wellness. And one of those 5 pillars is accomplishments. So of these 5 pillars, one that is often neglected is celebrating accomplishments. And accomplishments don't just mean like climbing a mountain, running a marathon, doing these big things that I think all of us understand are things to be celebrated and that we can be really proud of ourselves for. But it also includes things like, I said I was going to make my bed every day this week, and I did. I said that I was going to keep this baby alive and healthy for up until this point, and I have. Good job, me. Right? My baby's even crawling now. Yay. I've done a good job, And so what the researchers have found is that celebrating wins, big and small, right? So celebrating wins, big and small, is something that most people are not doing on a daily basis and don't create time and space for. And a lot of the reason why is because I think a lot of people don't realize. So I have calls. So right now I only have one person on this call right now. Thank you, Krista. Thank you for being here. I have hosted calls with, like, let's say 50 or 80 people on them. And so when you have 50 or 80 people on a group call like this, there are a lot of wins that come through. And what is so funny is that a very consistent theme that I see when people are typing these wins is, I don't know if this is a win, but I mean, I don't know if I can count this as a win, but, and they'll say the thing, and almost always 100% of the time, so let's say 99% of the time, what they write after the but is this spectacular, awesome thing that they did. this thing that literally their brain was telling them, I don't even know if this is worth celebrating, but she keeps asking me to pop one in. And she calls on people if they don't put a win in to let me put one in. Almost always, it's something that is really spectacular. And so, in my eyes, right? So, what that tells me is that a lot of the time when people are grasping at straws for a win, it's because they're not labeling things correctly, and they're not labeling things as wins, and they're not labeling things as, wow, I'm really proud of myself for that. I'm really proud of myself that I've, have a son that's crawling. I'm really proud of myself that I take care of my baby so well. I'm really proud of myself for being the best mom that I can be, in the circumstances that I'm in and what I know about being a mother. I'm really proud of myself for cooking this nutritious meal for my family. I'm really proud of myself for, whatever it is, fill in the blank. And it doesn't have to be these big, huge things. And so with accomplishments, they actually talk about this thing called accomplishment savoring. And what accomplishment savoring is kind of an interesting thing. So basically, it's taking 15 minutes on a daily basis. So they recommend that you set an alarm every day for 15 minutes. Now, if you can't fit 15 minutes into your busy schedule, even 5 minutes or 3 minutes of this is really beneficial, is to let yourself think about what you accomplished that day that you're proud of yourself for. And honestly, it could be as simple as taking a shower. It could be as simple as vacuuming the carpet. It could be as simple as, wiping the countertops. It could be as simple as whatever, because there's some days are easier than others, you guys. Some days it's no small feat to get dinner on the table. It's no small feat to, clean up after your kids or whatever it is. And so what we want to do is give ourselves space to acknowledge the things that we have done as a human being, given the circumstances that we're in. So that's actually part of accomplishment savoring, is imagining what you accomplished, right? Imagining what you achieved. We'll use something bigger, like let's say getting a certification or something, right? And it's like, wow, I got this certification. Wow, that's incredible. Man, there were so many times that I wanted to quit and I didn't. I'm so proud of myself for not quitting. Yay, good job. Like, it's giving yourself a pat on the back, but also acknowledging the challenges that you had to overcome in order to get to this place, right? The other thing that it recommends that you do is say, wow, I'm so blessed for my mom, because my mom watched my baby while I was doing my work, and I wouldn't have been able to do this with her. How blessed am I to have somebody to help? Or, you know what? These people didn't help me, and I had to take this test carrying my baby, but I did it anyway. I actually didn't need support. I was able to do it. I'm so proud of myself, right? So you can see what I mean by, not only are you acknowledging all of the positives about it, but you're also acknowledging the challenges that you overcame to get there, which builds a lot of resiliency and muscle memory in your body to go, hey, if I did this, I can do it again, right? If I was able to accomplish this in the setting that I'm in, I can do this again in the future, right? So building that resiliency and building the capacity to focus on how awesome you are as a human being, how awesome you are as an individual, how awesome you are even when you don't do everything right. Because guess what? There's one thing that we can guarantee as human beings, is that we will mess up sometimes. We might have some, mistakes sometimes, and it's okay. That doesn't mean that you still shouldn't celebrate who you are as a person or an individual, and that there's always, always, always something to be proud of yourself for, even if it's just brushing your teeth. Okay. So even if it's just, taking a shower, be proud of yourself for peopling, humaning, right? Being in this human existence is not always easy. However, it's certainly worth it. And I just want to say thank you so much for hanging out with me today. Thank you so much for spending time with me and taking time out of your busy schedule to be here. Like I said earlier, have calls every Monday and Thursday, and once a month on Wednesday. I would love, love, love if you would join me again. If you enjoyed this, if you had a great experience, I would love it if you would tell your friends, so we can get some more awesome people on this call to join in on the fun and learn how to manage their stress levels a little bit better. All right, you guys. Krista, thank you so much for joining me today. I appreciate you staying with me for the whole entire call, and for being here and for participating in the wins. I appreciate that a lot. lot. And hopefully I get to see you again next week, hopefully. All right, you guys, until we meet again, I want to wish you so much love and so many blessings. And I will speak to you so soon. All right, bye, everybody. Bye.